17th of February, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos.
The second, which were exciting, was a free trip to the 1992 Olympics.
Good morning, Rabbi Furst.
Good morning,
Rabbi
Ron.
Furst.
Good morning, Lou. How's everyone today?
Baruch Hashem.
Rabbi.
Yes.
Good, very good to see you all. Okay, good morning. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here. You see what's on Nafshi here in Shalim care of Zoom. This is our first year in the morning, like in Pierke Avos. The Maimer of Rabbi Kiva in the third parak of Avos. The Chavib in Yisrael, Shum Nikra Banim Lamakim, because we're referred to as Banim Lamakim. Children are very close relatives in Hashem's eyes. And let me put it on the screen. We'll put up the document. We'll continue where we left off. Okay, so you can see, right? You can see there we're in the middle of the Sefer Malamlid Hamad Talmidim Pashas Bahar. I guess we'll start from the beginning of that second paragraph. Hello, Tira. We see those words there in the middle of the paragraph. Okay. So yeah, who would like to read? Any volunteers?
I do.
Okay. Thank you, Lou. You can go, and unless there's any objections, you can go ahead.
Hello, Pierke, ki kishiad Hashem lanu tichalis tachlis, right? Ha'onesh. So is it not that we see that Hashem specifically deals with us with purposeful punishment? Amar sha'af asher halachu ami bekeri va'af ani elech imam bekeri. Hashem deals with us with purposeful punishment, saying even that you or when you go with me randomly, I will go with you. I guess also I will go with you randomly.
Exactly. Very good. Uba'aru haim zal. Uba'aru meaning like limivaru to explain. Haim Chazal. Chazal have explained this.
Chazal has explained it.
Be'ur Yafe, with a very nice explanation. Be'ur Yafe, a very nice explanation.
Haim asu dine arai ba'olam af ani a'aseh osam arui ba'olam. Okay, let's try and translate a little bit. Hazal give us a nice explanation, and they make a judgment. What is ari?
Arai means with very without kavias. Arai is a very Arai is very very erratically. If you go with me in an erratic fashion,
It sounds like the English word awry, like the English word awry. You go awry,
go right.
you go off the tracks and all that.
Yeah, that's also true. Very good. Yeah, very good.
So he makes an erratic judgment in this world.
No, it's that Bir Yafa, Haim Asu Dine Arai Ba'olam Zeh, meaning Haim meaning they, meaning if the Jews also Dine Arai Ba'olam, right? If they make meaning dinim, the laws of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, if they treat them erratically, right?
Oh, af ani eser osam. So too I will do with them awry, erratically, ba'olam, in the world. Ratsu bo. It wants to say, it wants in it she'im lo yosru bedini, that if what is yosru?
That's the they're going to be like from we had the word above, right? If you look at the second line, you look at the second line in the first paragraph. Kasher yasra ish espanoi yaser. Person will guide or reprimand his son. So lo yasiru, right? They won't be guided. Bidine.
Okay, so they won't be guided in justice. Ha'onashim. They won't be guided by just punishments. Haneodim, hamechonim, al onosam. I don't know what those words are.
That so again, it starts if the imos dini arai bolim, if they, the Jews, will be erratic in their keeping of the laws in this world, I also some arai bolim, that I will also be erratic with them in the world.
Does that basically mean that we lose God's protection?
He's gonna explain that. Yeah, that's gonna be the ultimate result. That'll be the ultimate result, right? Right. That they'll say v'im lo yisru b'dinei ha'onshim, and if they're not going to be directed in the dini ha'onshim, in the laws that follow from the punishments, right? If they're not im lo yasru b'dini ha'onshim, if they're meaning the only way to bring them back, right? Because they're erratic in their fulfilling of the Torah, so Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to be erratic with them, and the only way, right? It'll be required that the only way to bring them back will be bidini onshim, through punishments. Hanoidim hamuchavim al vonosa lefi hashkachasa, right? Meaning, if Klal Yisrael will be keeping to the laws of the Torah, so Kadosh Baruch Hu, if he needs to chastise us, reprimand us in some way, it'll be in keeping with the lack of observation of the various different laws of the Torah, right? So that'll be okay, because that'll be something which is parallel. The non-observance, the sin, will bring about a punishment that is parallel to it in some way, right? And that'll be an example of the hashgacha, the special interest that a Kodesh Baruch has in Klal Yisrael. So the things that they do wrong they'll get a kapara corresponding to the things that they need a kapara for, right?
Right. So what is this hanoadim?
Oh, so shim lo yisru b'dini ha'onshim hanoadim, meaning the informed punishments. Meaning, if for example, if you look in the Torah itself, you have two parshas of Tochacha, right? So all those consequences of lack of conformance to the Torah are clearly stated in the Torah, right? They're well known what's going to happen if we're not going to observe the Torah. So those are onshim hanodim, known punishments. Hamuchavanim al avonosam, that they are parallel or corresponding. They correspond to their sins. Lefi machashkasasam, according to the lefi machshavosam hara shiyakshu v'yigzru aleihem, that according to their bad thoughts, everything's going to be according to the laws of the Torah, according to the things they're doing wrong, according to what they're thinking of doing wrong. All these things will be parallel and corresponding.
So that seems to contradict the idea of what it said in the previous sentence, erratic.
No, but
We're acting erratic, and Hashem is now going to
he's
act.
in the middle of his explanation. This is the way it should normally be. Normally it should be this way. Normally, meaning again, what does it mean awry? Awry means that they're being very sporadic, very erratic in their fulfillment of the Torah. Okay, we're not talking about that they're making mistakes and certain things happen sometimes, right? But they're being erratic in fulfilling their Torah, meaning they're not taking it seriously, right? So that's a whole nother level of disobedience, right? The normal things that a person does, a person, for example, he's Mechalo Shabbos, okay? Mechalo Shabbos. What do I mean he's Mechalo Shabbos? He went ahead and he wanted some fresh garlic. So he went and he took his knife, his big chef's knife, and he diced it very, very, very finely. Diced his garlic very, very finely. So you're not supposed to do that on Shabbos. You're not supposed to cut things dak. You're not supposed to chop things in a very fine manner on Shabbos. It's a question of toichin. So someone comes in, he says, "Well, you're not supposed to do that." He said, "I didn't know. What do you mean? I'm not. What am I doing?" He says, "No, it's toichin. It's garlic. It goes from the ground, and you're not supposed to grind these things. You're not supposed to chop these things." Oh, I never knew that. So since he never learned, he never knew about the prohibition. But he's not being sporadic or erratic in his fulfillment of the mitzvahs. He simply, in that case, he was a shegi. He didn't know, right? So there's a punishment. The person has to bring a chatas, right? There's certain punishments are instituted for the certain things that a person will do wrong, right? Person kills a person, right? A person kills a person. So if it's b'shogeg, you didn't do it intentionally. If it meets all the requirements, you're supposed to go to your miklat, right? So there are certain specific prescribed punishments, consequences for different things that a person does wrong, right? So that's all keeping very well and good, because Klal Yisrael, they're simply doing things, but they're not being. They're just in the course of a person's life or the history of Klal Yisrael. Things go wrong, and the things that we would want not to happen sometimes happen for whatever reasons. But in general, they're basically being observant, right? So they're not acting awry, right? Like Roy said, when something goes awry, like it's off the track. They went off the track, right, Roy?
Yes, yes, yeah, that's right. Everything's gone mixed up and not proper.
Yeah, haywire. They used to call it haywire, right? I don't know what haywire
Yeah.
means. What?
Haywire and awry, I think they're the same things, the
Yeah.
same ideas.
I don't know. I never saw any haywire, but
Yeah. Anyway,
Well,
You're rolling around in the hay, and
yeah.
you land on a piece of wire. Then you
Oh, yeah.
say, "Hey, what's that?"
Okay, I get it. I got it. Have to
Well,
find out what the
well-
origin of the term of haywire.
Also, if you bale hay with wire and you cut the wire to release it to feed the animals, the wire just springs all over the place.
Right, right.
Oh, I bet you
That's
that's
right.
it, Nair.
Yeah, that'll be right. Yeah, yeah.
Worked on the
All right.
kibbutz and that happened, so I know.
All right. So it's you got the Jack in the Box. He pops out there. It's like
That's
so.
right.
Yeah, you say my plans have gone awry.
Exactly. So that's so sometimes it's we don't know why, but other times because they're not cooperating. So basically, when in this context we're talking about the Klal Yisrael is not cooperating with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak. They're not fulfilling his mitzvahs in a proper way, according to the intention of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that's a whole different situation. So that doesn't call for simple punishments in the normal cause and effect of something being done wrong, and there needs to be some corrective consequence because of it. So that's what it's being said over here. Everything being equal and fine, so there's a certain logical and planned order of consequences. But if things are going haywire with the Klal Yisrael, then there's no real aspect of conformance on the part of Klal Yisrael. So likewise, the punishments they get will also be coming in a erratic and a non ordered way.
Are we talking about behavior that is deliberate or behavior that's careless? Deliberately careless or just careless or whatever, like that,
Awry in the way we're talking about it now, awry is more like deliberately careless, right?
Yeah.
Right. Very good one.
Maybe I just have to mention one thing, having been in the food business.
In the
if
what?
you went in the food business, when you
Ah.
want to cut a garlic, you don't use a chef knife. When you want to get it real thin, you use a razor blade.
Okay.
All
Very
right.
good.
That gives you can see through it.
Mhm.
You can see through the garlic leaf when you cut it real thin. I just
Right.
have to say that because it just, just bothers me.
No problem. No problem.
You know,
All right. So yes. So that the fika. So therefore, yeah. So let's pick up from
Where are we now?
Okay, we're in the mid. There are 3 lines up, or we're in the middle line of that second paragraph. Yigzar Alehem, the Kadosh Baruch Hu make decrees upon them.
Got it. Thank you.
No, I don't have it. I thought we were at the fee Mechashavim.
5,
Mechashavta.
7,
Okay,
8.
okay, right. Okay, fine. A couple of words more. The fee makshavosam, according to their evil plans or their evil thoughts.
She yachshavu, that they think, v'yigzaru, and they make a decree,
Right.
Alehem, or Hashem makes a decree on them.
Yes.
Shehem b'mikra, that they are b'mikra, they are forsaken.
They're going to be.
By chance.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
By chance. The mikra is by chance.
It's going to be erratic. It's going to be erratic by chance.
So Hashem makes a decree on them that they are by chance below.
The decree that Hashem is going to decree upon them will be erratic, will be without a seeming cause. Meaning, for example, when Haman convinced Achashverosh to make the gezeros on Klal Yisrael, so those gezeros, from our point of view, I mean, again, there were certain reasons why everything had to occur that had occurred during Purim, but it wasn't. What was it? We went to. You want to say we went to the Suda, so we went to the Suda. You want to say we bowed down to the Tzelem of Nebuchadnezzar. We went, but like where's this whole corresponding decree that Haman will have the ability to do what he wants with the Jewish people? Where's the righteousness in that? Seems very extreme, right? No.
To kill everybody, that sounds extreme. Yeah.
Yeah. Take a look. Take a look at the Megillah and try and figure out what was the Haman gains power, human power, ultimate power over the Jews by the king of the world, and where does this come from? Well, for what? Where's the righteousness in that decree? What's Hashem doing to us? That's what Hashem wanted us to ask. He wanted to what you've obviously done something very seriously wrong, and so they had to do a lot of thinking about what was occurring here.
I find it difficult to think of Hashem as doing something by chance, by sort of as a reciprocal decree against us for being by chance. Now I can understand that we can do things awry, but I can't imagine that could apply to Hashem in any way whatsoever.
No, this is you're right. It's all in terms of our point of view, from our perspective. Hashem is obviously doing with the ultimate of wisdom and perfection. But from our point of view, we're not allowed to see that, right? Mm-hmm. So, for example, when you
Roy has a good point.
When you say that the base of Mikdash was the first base of Mikdash was destroyed with Shrikas, Damim, Gili Arias, and Avodah Zorah, so you can understand that seems to be those are three pretty serious averas that the base of Mikdash should have been destroyed for. That seems to make sense, right? Seems to make good sense. We prefer it didn't happen. We prayed that it didn't happen, but nevertheless, that was what Hashem was geyser. But it wasn't. If you look into from the perspective of take your nice Jewish person back there in Shushan, and so no one's really bothering him. In Shushan, there were no, he didn't have to. He could keep Shabbos, he could eat kashrus, right? He could do a lot of things. Wear talis and tefillin. He could pray with a minion 3 times a day, and all of a sudden, Mordechai says, listen, you're all gonna have to fast for 3 days and 3 nights, and all the children are gonna have to fast for 3 days and 3 nights too. And you know what? One of those nights is Passover. You're not gonna eat matzahs this year, Charlie. No matzahs. What do you mean? I just baked the matzahs. What am I gonna do? You're not gonna eat them on Pesach? What do you mean? It's a mitzvah. How can you not mitzvah d'oraisa? How can I not fulfill my mitzvah d'oraisa? Things are going a little bit haywire all of a sudden, no?
Right.
And
Right, Barry?
I think Roy made a very good point that awry doesn't necessarily mean random. It means off the path. When we go off the path, Hashem gives us a course correction to get us back on the right path.
Right.
You know, so he's not doing, so as like Roy said, Hashem's not doing anything random. He's doing purposely something to counterbalance the fact that we went off the track.
Again, that's exactly how what I said. The perspective is only from our perspective. Because Baruch was doing
Right.
everything with the ultimate wisdom and perfection.
Right.
That it's only from our perspective that Hashem is going to behave in a way that is awry with us. He's going to be treating us in a very erratic, sporadic way.
It seems to be erratic, but it's very purposeful.
Yeah, right. Okay,
Is that what you hold, Roy? Is that that's what you agree with that?
I think so, yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Don't get so excited, Roy. Just
No, I
answer the
won't.
question. Just answer the
Yes.
question.
Yes, I think I agree with you.
Okay, so if that's the case, we can proceed. Lefika,
Thank you. Thank you, Barry.
the first word on the second line from the bottom, right? Lefika, therefore.
Well, I don't think we finished the previous sentence. Velo bichona la onesh avonos. What is bichona?
V'lo b'kavana la'onish avonosav. It's not for the kavana of giving a punishment for their sins.
It's not for the kavana.
Yeah, lo b'kavana la'onish avonosav. It's not for the intention of punishing their sins.
Lefichach yastir Hashem panav mehem, and therefore Hashem hides his face from them. V'yislak hashgachaso me'alehem v'yish lachem me'al panav. What is this word vayis lak?
Okay, so it would be salek, to remove, right?
Remove. Okay, and he removes from them. I'm sorry, and he removes his supervision from upon them, and he sends them from his presence.
Yeah. From Yishlachem me'al panav, and he casts them from his presence.
Ad she yishovu mikra kasher ha'omos, until that Yeshovo, I don't know.
I mean, from until they'll return mikra, they'll turn Yeshuvu mikra, they'll return to the natural processes, kasher umas, like the rest of the nations. Meaning the Hashem will withdraw his hashkacha, his interest from us, and cast us from him, and therefore we're going to return to Mikra, will be cast to the natural ways of the world, like the rest of the nations, just like the rest of the nations have to contend with the natural processes of the world, and they have no way of surmounting the natural processes of the world. Also, Kadosh Baruch Hu will remove his hashkacha from Klal Yisrael, and we will have to fend for ourselves, just like any of the other nations as well.
Achar Shif Faro Hamusar Vahatiru Ha-Kidoshim.
Hakasharim.
Hakasharim. What's that?
That meaning Achishiparo Hamusa, after they forsook the direction, they forsook the guidance and direction of the Torah. Since we, Klal Yisrael, forsook the direction, the guidance of the Torah, Shiparo Hamusa, they cast off the direction and the guidance that the Torah provides.
So what is this Sharim? Sharim.
That's a kesher. That's the connection, right? Hatiru, he broke the connection. They broke the connection bekesher Hashem bibris ba'avaso, and they broke the connection that tied Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu, through the bris of his love, right?
Love. Okay.
Right. Since we became disloyal, right? Since we became disloyal to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, so that broke the connection which was bound us to a Kadosh Baruch Hu through his love, through the bris, the covenant of his love for us.
Musaf al ha-onshin she yavo'u alehem bekona.
Bekavana. Right. Mosef ala onshim shiaviu alehem bekavana, and that is an additional. That's an additional punishment which comes upon the Klal Yisrael with kavana. It's an additional punishment that comes upon Klal Yisrael that's intended. So in addition, you have an exponential punishment here. The consequences of us being disloyal to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, by acting with a Kadosh Baruch Hu awry, we're being disloyal to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So Kadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, become disloyal to us, and therefore, in addition to the consequential punishments that have to take place because of everything that a person does wrong, they're going to be a different level of punishment, which is going to be exponentially more difficult for us, that will be left on our own, just like any of the other nations, and will forfeit our close relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu and his hashkacha upon
us. So I'd like to just make a scenario here. There's Jewish people who say, I'll take it or leave it. If something in the Torah is appeals to me, I'll do it. Otherwise, I won't do it. So they're violating the Torah here and there, based on this kind of random criteria. So Hashem says, okay, you're acting in this kind of random way, this erratic way. So it sounds like it's saying, I'm going to remove my protection from you. I'm gonna remove my hashkaka pratis. I'm gonna remove my involvement in your life. So I'm gonna basically leave you alone, and whatever happens is gonna happen according to the laws of nature.
Right.
So, and that is Hashem's intention, that it should be that way.
Correct.
Isn't this connected to B'Tselem Elokim? In other words, when we misbehave, our B'Tselem Elokim loses its I don't know, its pureness, and that sends the signal to Hashem that we need an oinus.
That's exactly right. That's what we saw that in the Tiferes Yisrael. If you look at this, look at the second paragraph. You see the second paragraph of the Tiferes Yisrael. Havivim Yisrael shenikra banim lamakom. You see the second paragraph. It should be on your screen as well.
Yeah.
Take a look. This is the Tiferes. I'll read the Tiferes Yisrael. Tiferes Yisrael. This is exactly what you're saying, Barry. The second paragraph. Tiferes Yisrael. Yachim. This Avos Perek Gimel. Tzadi Gimel, that's the footnote there. Chavivim Yisrael shenikra banim lamakom. Beloved are the Jewish people because they're called children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All the peoples of the world are cherished by HaKadosh Baruch Hu because they aren't B'Tselem Elokim. But nevertheless, when they become very evil, it's possible that they can lose their Tselem. Yeah. Like the Gemara says in Megillah, Davchav Ches Amud Aleph, it's forbidden, you're forbidden to look into the face of a person who's a Rasha. Right? Shma Mina, the Ruach HaTuma Shoralav. You can learn from this that the person who is a Rasha, you're not supposed to look at him because there's a Ruach of Tuma that dwells upon him. And that's talking about a Jew. Kol Shekain Akam Rasha, even more so a non-Jew who's a Rasha. You certainly shouldn't look at him. You shouldn't, and it's certainly there a Ruach of Tuma.
But that's certainly true of a non-Jew. You said
it's even more so. It's even more so.
Even more so for a non-Jew, right?
The Avos Yisrael, but the Jewish people, since they're referred to as being banim to a HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even if they're going to bow down to Avodah Zorah, right? Even if they're going to bow down to Avodah Zorah, right? They're still considered to be banim. They may be way off the track and off the derech, but they're still called banim, even if they're going to bow down to Avodah Zorah. Shma Mina av shechata kati chavivos kayema. Learn from this that even though they sin, even though the Jewish people sin, their belovedness is still enduring, right? Right? Mishum the doimim call Yehudi laviem. Since each Jew is similar in a certain way to their father, they're reckoned to be children, and they relate to their Creator Kadosh Baruch Hu as their father. It's impossible that the Tselem Elokim can be completely defiled amongst them.
If you want to read it,
By the Goyim, it could be that the Tselem could be lost and defiled, but not by in general by Jewish people.
Okay. And it's possible to, so to speak, to regenerate it. In other words, like if the B'Tselem Elokim of a person becomes damaged, it's possible through tshuva to restore it. Is that correct?
That's right. But now we're learning if we can go awry, if we're going to be nonchalant in our attitude towards serving Kadosh Baruch Hu, So that means that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, as a rectifying circumstance that has to occur, he has to treat us as if he doesn't care about us, and he has to treat us as if there is no hashgacha, but there's no special interest in the Jewish people, and that's the worst possible punishment, because you lose your connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That severs the connection, at least temporarily, of the Jewish people to Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that's the very worst possible thing that could happen.
Roy, I see your lips moving, but you're muted.
Could I just say, please, that this nonchalance actually bothers me somewhat, in that we are nonchalant to Hashem quite often, and probably without realizing it. So when we're davening, we sort of we answer with the kedusha, and while we're doing that, we're signaling to somebody. We're tucking away our tefillin and whatever. Looking around, and we're not paying attention
Talking
to the
on the phone.
tefillah.
Right.
Was this guy South African or Indian?
That's right.
Things like that.
Roy, you've been to my shul? You've been to my shul? How do you know that?
So that's that.
It happens
So,
in
Roy,
every shul.
in terms of the Yetzer Hara, so those are the ploys and strategies of the Yetzer Hara. But at least you're playing the game, right? You're still playing the game. You're still coming to davening. You're trying to concentrate, right? So that's not being awry in this context. Awry is that you're not caring. It's a simple lackadaisical attitude towards serving Kadosh Baruch Hu. So
I still see it as that, I'm afraid. Sort of walking in with a cup of coffee in your hand while you're sort of coming into daven, stuff like that.
yeah, definitely, there's definitely room for improvement, but we can try and some people, if they don't have a coffee, they can't function. And unfortunately, they're very addicted to the coffee. Unfortunately, it's a very terrible thing. They can't concentrate. Their thoughts are so scattered, and they think they need the coffee so much that it's the Mishnah Berurah, the halacha speaks about having coffee before davening. That it's really not supposed to be done. But if it's done for the purpose of helping your concentration, so a cup of black coffee is in order, or tea. Sugar and milk. It used to be sugar and milk when you had to be somewhat of a rich person to enjoy your coffee with milk and sugar in it, right? So in those earlier times, having coffee before davening with sugar and milk was frowned upon in the halacha. But when the sugar is abounding and milk is abounding, so it's looked a little bit more leniently if a person enjoys his coffee with, or let's say can't stomach coffee just black. He needs to have it sweet and light, as they say, right, Barry? Sweet and light.
Yeah, Rebbe, didn't you once tell us a story on your first day in Eretz Israel when you went to the yeshiva?
Yeah.
You went in and got a coffee in the dining room, and the Rosh Yeshiva was there, and he saw you put a dab of milk in there.
Yeah.
Right, I remember that story. Right. Can you tell it over for us again? That's great.
I arrived in Eretz Israel on a Thursday night, right? And that Motzei Shabbos we began saying Slichos, right? So because Rosh Hashanah was going to be, I think, Wednesday night. So I woke up on that Rosh Hashanah morning, and I was already now in Eretz Israel about 4 or 5 days. So the change of environment had gotten to my digestive system very strongly, right? So I felt, I tell you, I felt like a donut, felt like a hole of a donut, and I just couldn't imagine myself going through the davening without getting something into my system. So I went to the coffee room there. We usually during the week, you want to have a coffee, you go there and get a coffee. So I made myself a coffee before the davening started because I needed just something to get me going. I was just empty, in and out. And the Shiva walked in, and he saw me sitting there with a coffee in my hand, and he says, "What? Even on Rosh Hashanah, they drink coffee before davening." So it's,
All right.
Ay, 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 ay.
yeah. So
Ay,
anyway,
ay, ay.
I did.
Wow.
As long as you were able to daven well after that.
Yeah, no, Baruch Hashem, it helped me pull myself together.
I have a cup. Yeah, I have a cup of coffee in the morning before I go to shul.
Yeah.
Black, but with sugar.
Yeah. Okay.
Ah,
Okay. In any event, good.
Okay.
Let's maybe take a break. Okay.
Okay.
It could be. I'll see. I'll make a decision over the next day or two. It may be that we'll start doing something more pertinently directed towards Purim. We have about a month of time to prepare for Purim, so maybe we'll concentrate on something that has to do with the Megillah now and for the next month or so, and then we can maybe after that switch to the Haggadah and things relevant to Pesach. So okay, Roy, we should have a good day, and
Thank you. You too.
tomorrow.